Back with Jesse Mayshark, one of the founders of Compass Knox. It's dedicated to political and public affairs reporting in Knox County and our region. Jesse, good to see you. We're going to talk about partisan school boards because that's a change we haven't seen in almost 20 years. We do have a partisan school board now. The question was, when might we see that partisanship rear its head? You reported that we saw that last week. Why?
Yeah, it was interesting. So we basically have a 5-member Republican majority of the school board now. It's a 9-member board. There are 2 Democrats and then 2 independents. And, you know, one thing to keep in mind is that most of the votes on the school board are not going to lend themselves to strong partisan differences. And most of the items on their agenda last week were approved unanimously. But I think where we're going to see it and where we saw it last week is when you get into issues that are maybe a little bit political, maybe have some kind of cultural controversies around them. So one that came up last week, the school system, Knox County Schools, for the last 14 years, has belonged to an organization called CLASS, the Coalition of Large School Systems. And it's basically a lobbying group with the other 3 large school systems in the state, Nashville, Memphis, and Chattanooga, Hamilton County. And the school board voted to withdraw from that association. And there were some questions about how effective their lobbying was, but the bigger issue seemed to be that the school board majority, which again is a Republican majority there, didn't feel that Knox County is necessarily in sync with especially Nashville and Shelby County. And of course, those are the 2 biggest Democratic counties in the state. And so even though nobody explicitly said anything about partisan politics in this, it was hard not to see it as, you know, them saying, look, when we go and talk to the Republican majority in the legislature, we don't necessarily want to be alongside Nashville and Shelby County, who maybe have somewhat different political agendas than we do.
Quickly, the implications of that vote financially for the district may mean they do hire a lobbyist in particular themselves.
Yeah, and that'll probably cost a little bit more. They were paying like $37,000 a year as part of that group. To hire their own will probably be more than that, but they were comfortable with that in order to, you know, be able to speak with their own voice and not necessarily be seen as being in tandem with those other districts.
Just one early example of what we may see play out with a partisan school board. Jesse, appreciate the analysis as always. For more, you can subscribe to Compass Knox at their website. Jesse, thank you.